Gigi Variety reading Foodwise. I didn't record a video yesterday because of internet service problems. This is the third time, and I cannot complain. There are people with problems and interrupted service constantly, and I'm sympathetic. So we continue. Food choices, experience, quality, and beliefs. Good reasons exist for caution in choosing foods. Foods that don't taste like those of our gastronomic histories, too bitter, too spicy, too moldy, could be dangerous. Sometimes, though, those cautions prevent us from trying good foods we've never tasted. We might choose a lower quality, less whole, mass-produced white bread on the grocery store shelf, say simply because it's all we've ever been exposed to, and a bland taste and soft texture have become our norm. This is how beliefs get between us and our plates. We don't look for good tasting alternatives because we believe we already know which foods we like the most. My favorite example is olive oil. If we have never tasted an early season olive oil, one that burns the throat, then we might accept as satisfactory any oil labeled, say, extra virgin. In blind tasting exercises at the University of Florence, my students, and the Italian students too, chose rancid sunflower seed oil as their olive oil of choice. This bland, non-pungent vegetable oil was a low-quality oil that in no way met Italian and international standards for acidity that would apply to a fine olive oil. The students, though, preferred its taste, believing it was the best oil. It fits with their previous perceptions and experiences of quote-unquote olive oil, since much of what's sold in the United States is a cheaper, milder oil. I suppose it's not surprising that we choose the familiar, but particularly with olive oils, we're losing the more interesting, high nutrient ones with phenolic compounds that give extra virgin olive oil a bitter, spicy flavor and maybe a hefty antioxidant load. So we just had some guest lectures in my classes that I've been talking about this summer, International Business and Food Sustainability and Food and Business Cultures of Switzerland and Italy, with colleagues at the University of Florence. And we heard about their work in trying to recover these phenolic compounds. And the phenols can be pretty bitter, very strong tasting, but they have antioxidant properties, and they're recovering them from olive oil mill waste, but also from unripe grapes from vineyards, and trying to fortify food with these compounds. So basically creating a functional food high in antioxidants. Is it whole? I don't know. Seems informed to me. It's a sustainable practice working with these waste products. The experience is partly what they are trying to test for. Are these fortified foods more whole? It depends on the context in which they're produced, where these foods are coming from, these waste products, and who these foods are for, I would think. So the article tonight is actually one that looks at emissions. And one would wonder, with the decrease in transportation of all sorts, what's happening with greenhouse gas emissions. Those are the emissions that we talked about in part one of Foodwise, and they are down, especially looking at the United States. So I have this article here for you for your reading enjoyment. This is definitely a time during the coronavirus pandemic for us to be curious. And it is only right and whole and informed and sustainable and a worthwhile experience to ask questions about transportation and their emissions and what's happening in terms of reduction.